This episode of Seeking Sister Wives is a little messy, and I didn't like the direction it took. I want to give all these couples a piece of my mind. Let's talk about it. Hi everybody, my name is Jenny and my channel is called Reality TV Breakdown. Thank you for being here. If you're interested in any information on sister wives, you can find it on my other channel, which is called Senior Perspective. But for today, we are moving on to the episode of Seeking Sister Wives called Seeking Commitment. Okay, it opens up with Shane and Ashley, who we didn't see on the last episode. They are getting ready to go on a date, and this will be Shane's opportunity to meet Sarah. Now, Ashley had been on a date with Sarah already. Just one date. Sarah's open to meeting Shane. Sarah's open to meeting Shane because Sarah has always been in a relationship, and I use that term loosely, with couples in the past. She kind of functioned the way she described it as being the couple's plus one. She might go out on a date with them, and then maybe not see him for a couple months. And then they'd all get back together again too. When the couple was feeling a little frisky, they brought her in and she was game, and that was it. It wasn't a relationship. There was no commitment. This is her past in history. So this is a whole different situation because Shane and Ashley are not interested in her having any kind of relation with Shane. This is supposed to be a relationship for Ashley. To explore this other side of her that apparently Shane can't fulfill. As they're getting ready to go, you can see that Shane is starting to get a little bit jealous about the situation. He said, Ashley asks him, what if we kiss while you're there? How will you feel about that? And he's like, well, probably a little jealous. And then he admits that he will probably feel jealous even if they're just holding hands. It became very clear to me that this is the very first time that they are taking on another person in really their polyamorous relationship. This has nothing to do with being a sister wife. So they meet at a mini golf place. They introduce, give hugs, and then Shane says, let's go play some mini golf. Sarah says, sure, let's go grab some balls. Wink, wink. I don't know. In the talking head, Sarah made it seem pretty clear there was no attraction between her and Shane. But maybe she doesn't even care about that. Maybe she's just really been enjoying her threesomes in the past. I don't know. But for the situation that Shane and Ashley want, kind of an inappropriate comment. I don't know how this one's going to work out. I wrote in my notes after she said that, oh no, that's not the plan. Not the plan. Abort. You do not get to have any balls in your hand. I wrote down exactly what Sarah said about her impression of Shane. And she said, average guy, easygoing dad. With a dad bod, too. I mean, it doesn't seem like she's dying to get in there either. So that's good, because that's not the plan. So during the mini golf, there's numerous instances where Ashley and Sarah are flirting with each other and teasing each other, and you can see Shane is visibly uncomfortable. I don't want to say upset. He's uncomfortable. I mean, Shane kind of always looks uncomfortable. Like, that's his overall disposition all the time, but I felt like it was sort of amped up a level of uncomfortable. Shane asks Sarah, why is it that you decided to agree to a second date with Ashley? And Sarah basically said that Ashley was nice and a good kisser. This is all sexual for Sarah. All sexual. I do not see her having any interest in any kind of relationship. We'll see. How many times? We should turn it into a drinking game. How many times will Jenny say, we'll see, in this episode? Yeah, I just don't see this happening. Okay. At the end of their conversation after mini golf, after she kind of explained that her situation has always sort of been friends with benefits with these other couples in the past, Shane said, maybe you're not looking for the same thing that we are. And then we cut to the Merrifields, which is Garrick and Danny, or Dannielle. But here we are the next morning, and Danny seems as happy as a clam. She's all dressed up. She has this necklace that she's getting ready to give as her sister necklace. It is not so cute. It is not so cute at all. In fact, when I first looked at it, I thought it was phallic. I did. I'm like, what is happening here? So it's 2 diamonds inside of an infinity sign, and the infinity sign is inside of an outline of lips. That's what it is. And then we find out Garrick designed it, and then it all made sense. Okay, the pieces are falling together. Of course he did. So Danny meets with Natalia. She gives her the necklace. Natalia acts excited about it. And then Danny shares that she has the same one too. And now they're going to be sisters. And so it seems to go well. I don't know. I'm just waiting for the moment that breaks it off. I feel like she's just playing along. Maybe not. But awkward scene alert.
Red alert! Red alert!
Danny and Natalia are having this lovely hug that extends, and I'm like, okay, maybe they like each other. And then Danny goes in for a kiss. What is happening? I'm like, what? Natalia was like, no. So bizarre.
Committed to me as a sister and trying to put those feelings aside and trust that what God's doing here, he has a plan and a purpose, and that things will work out.
Okay? No, kisses, no. Oh.
Do you think Garrick thinks this is going to kind of be a threesome thing eventually? Or do you think that he will flip out over seeing that scene? I didn't know what to make of it, quite frankly. This is just a whole new twist in the story. Whole new twist. I don't know. She's probably going to just dismiss it and say, I was just going to give her a quick kiss on the lips, like Europeans do. We cut to Justin and Becky Ryan. Another couple I want to scream at. I'm going to scream at them all. I guess I want to scream at them all every episode. So let's just laugh through it, okay? So they point out that they have been courting Stephanie for 9 months. Now, just an episode or 2 ago, they said it was over with Stephanie, which is why they were going out to meet somebody else, because Stephanie keeps being hot then cold, then hot then cold, and she'll ghost them for long periods of time. She had ghosted them for over a month. They decided to move on. She calls back. Okay, this is where the last episode ended. They decide to go. She changes her mind. She says, don't come. I have to work. They said, we're coming anyway. She says, don't come. They decide to drive the 12 hours to her home and just show up. I didn't think it was going to go well. I was right. It didn't go well. So we have Becky standing there at Stephanie's door. Stephanie says hi. That's how the last episode ended. Now, before the conversation ensues, we have a disclaimer across the front of the screen from TLC that says, neither Stephanie nor Greg's real voices or names are being used in the program. And I read it and went, what did I miss? Who's Greg? Did we have a Greg and it just completely missed me? My goodness, I'm getting old. I need to move this over to the Senior Perspective channel. I don't remember Greg. And I do reviews. I take notes and do reviews. I don't remember Greg. We hadn't met Greg yet. And actually, we don't even meet Greg in this episode. So he didn't have a voice double because we never heard his voice.
Odd.
So Greg turns out to be Stephanie's boyfriend, who's in her home at the time that Becky is knocking on the door. Right away, Stephanie says, I told you not to come. Becky just argues with her. She went from 0 to 100 right away. Maybe she was up there at 75 to begin with. I don't know. She seemed fairly calm when she was walking up to the door. Maybe she saw Greg in the background right away, and that's what made her. But she just started arguing, acting a victim. How could you do this to us? You said you loved us. She does point out, you said just yesterday on the phone when you said goodbye to Justin that you loved him. Didn't I say on the last episode that she's just using them for money? Well, now we have Greg, and I'm thinking, oh, she just went and got a new boyfriend. No, Greg has been her best friend who's been in her life for a very long time. And apparently, Greg has even told her in the past, if you enter a polygamous relationship, we're not going to be friends anymore. So I'm not really sure why they're terribly surprised that Stephanie is ending this. Her very best friend has said, I won't be friends with you anymore. She keeps ghosting them. The writing's on the wall, not to mention how much money they keep giving her. So Stephanie says she's not interested in a relationship with the two of them anymore. She just wants Greg. And Becky says, well, when did this happen? Becky just becomes more defensive, more argumentative, and is kind of screaming at her in a way that Becky truly doesn't believe that Stephanie wants to be with Greg. She thinks that Stephanie really still wants to be with her husband, Justin. You can't argue over the fact that just the night before, Stephanie said she loved him on the phone. But you can love somebody and still want to move on to somebody else. It's possible to love two people. And then Becky throws out the zinger, have you had sex with him? And of course, Stephanie's like, none of your business. It is my business. Are you having sex with him? And she's like, I am not talking to you about this. This is none of your business. And then Becky says, I just need to know so I can go and get tested because of you. And then storms off. Whew. My goodness. That was juicy. Awkward, uncomfortable, but juicy. Becky gets back into the car. She explains to Justin what just happened in general, but says, I think Stephanie needs to tell you exactly what she's feeling, not have me tell you. Then the two of them go off to a hotel room. So in the hotel room, Justin is prying Becky for information. Now, they're in the hotel room because they just drove 12 hours. It's another 12 hours to get back home. So they're staying in the hotel that they planned to stay with Stephanie, maybe? I'm not sure how that was going to work. But at any rate, Becky had a very interesting and telling line at this point. She said, I want to be like, I'll never talk to her again, but I need somebody. Isn't that interesting? Justin's obviously not enough for her. Justin looks like he could fly off the handle and actually be mean and that she would want some female energy around. But I don't know any of this for a fact. I'm just saying, it's just the vibe he gives off. Kind of that Neanderthal, I am man, king of my domain kind of energy. But for Becky to say, I need somebody, and she seemed emotional and distraught at that point. And you could see it, the way she was screaming and arguing with her about, no, stay with us kind of situation was like Becky was just holding on to the coattails of Stephanie as she was saying, please leave. Becky was like, no, don't go. And it makes sense now. Why would you be so emotional that your husband doesn't have a side piece? Maybe because you're emotionally void and you needed that sister relationship. Unless this was going to be a threesome too.
Another one?
And this should be called seeking polyamorous situation or something instead of seeking sister wife. So in the hotel room, Becky eventually does tell Justin the entire story because Justin points out to her that Stephanie's not going to tell him. He's like, just tell me what she said. She's not going to tell me. And I'm thinking, what kind of relationship do you think you have with this woman? You don't know what's going on in her life. She ghosts you and you just always accept her back. And now you know that she won't tell you, so you don't have open lines of communication. Okay. I don't know that Justin is really in love with the Stephanie or that he just really loves sleeping with her. Justin goes on to say, I love her and she promised to be with us till death. Well, or months, periods of time where she completely ghosts you and doesn't answer any of your calls or texts. I mean, are they just slow? Why is everyone so dumb on all these shows? So frustrating for me. don't know why, you can't take a logical brain to try to understand an illogical one, I guess. At least that's what other people write down below when I try to figure things out on Sister Wives. You can't figure them out. Just move on. It is what it is. And Justin ends it with, well, what can you do with someone who won't tell the truth? Well, if she's somebody who doesn't tell the truth, why are you still pursuing her? Oh, it's maddening. It's maddening. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Salhudans, or however their last name is pronounced. This is Nyla and Naeem. And as a pick-me-up to the episode, Naeem's mom is coming to visit again. Yes! We love Naeem's mom. Her name is Jamila. I don't think I caught that the first time at all. Jamila. Pretty name. Jamila, so funny. Love the comic relief in this show. She is so not into polygamy and is so not afraid to just speak her mind and say it is the way it is. So she comes over, and they're all sitting down and talking. And Naeem says to her, today was supposed to be a dinner where you were going to be meeting Keisha. And right away, Jamila didn't even hear the supposed to or didn't. All she heard was Keisha and dinner. And Jamila says, well, I guess I won't be having dinner. She's like, I'm out of here. Sorry. Adios. And her son replies, no, you got your wish. She didn't show up. She stood us up. And Jamila says, good. Nyla's just smiling, going, she said good. Like, Nyla doesn't understand. This is what we want. This is our heart's desires, and our hearts are absolutely broken, and we're inviting you over, and you're saying good. It didn't work out. She's like, she said good. Yes, she said good. And I say, good for you, Jamila. Oh, but then it gets even better. And I'm going to have to put this clip in here because I just remember laughing out loud.
Today was supposed to be a dinner for you to meet Keisha.
So I guess I won't be having dinner.
No, you got your wish because she kind of stood us up anyway.
She didn't come.
Good.
Yeah, so
She said
thanks for
good.
the positivity.
And Naeem says, thanks for the positivity, Mom. I just loved it. This whole little interaction was the best part of the episode. So they go on to explain the situation, how she didn't come. And so they're going to be looking for another sister wife and that. And Jamila says, well, just inform me when you do so that I know not to come over here. And they're like, oh, that's why we're not going to inform you about it, because we want you to come. And she's like, I'll just leave. And one of the two of them, I can't remember who, probably Naeem, because it's his mom, said, do you really believe it when you say we cannot come to your house and you will not come to our house if there's a sister wife involved, and that's going to be the end of the relationship? And Jamila just says, yeah, at least that's where I am right now. Yeah. And then Jamila points out, it doesn't really say in the Quran that you're supposed to live polygamy. And they say that you can take 2, 3, or 4 wives if you treat them equal. And if not, then just have one. And his plan is to treat them equal. So it's okay for him to have more than one. Interesting. You learn something new every day. Let's move on to the Merrifields. Garrick and Dannielle. We see Garrick walking around the kitchen practicing and trying to memorize his Portuguese to propose. And I'm thinking, finally. It's been, 3 years since they started courting a Portuguese woman? They're finally learning to speak a little bit of Portuguese. I mean, it's not that practical. He's not going to be able to use it again. Oh, I take that back. There's going to be another Brazilian that he tries to court. I'm sorry, I take that back. This will be a practical thing for him to learn and learn how to propose in Portuguese. So he has the ring and he's talking to the cameraman and he's doing his talking head and he says, oh, I hope she likes the ring because she doesn't like fancy things. And it's a fancy ring. Well, then she's not going to like it, Garrick. End of story. I kind of like fancy things. And then they showed the ring. Kind of gaudy. It reminds me of something like my grandmother would have worn back in the day. I wouldn't want to wear it. It's like a huge flower on your finger. As an engagement ring? When you can have a diamond? I mean, come on.
I'm about to ask one of the biggest questions of my life. I hope she likes the ring because she doesn't like fancy things. And the ring is fancy. I designed it and then had somebody custom make it to look like a rose. because I call her my sweet rose.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it. And Garrick had that designed as well. You know, he needs to stay out of the jewelry design business. Stick with building houses, because this is not his forte. He goes on to share another really dumb story, another Garrick dumb story about his direct line when God tells him specific things. And this was a time that Garrick was up on a mountain. This time he says that God vocally spoke to him. He literally heard God speaking to him. Again, either utter lies or the man has psychiatric problems. There's no in between. If you think you're hearing voices, may not be God that you're hearing. Or if you just want to project yourself as higher spiritually than everyone else and say you're hearing the voice of God, you look a fool. Stop lying. So now we get back to this mountain. So Garrick's up on the mountain one day, and here's the audible voice of what he heard from God. God said to Garrick, I told Dannielle to tell you something, and I want you to ask her what it is. Okay. God didn't speak directly to people a whole lot in the Bible, but this isn't the kind of way he would speak. This is not remnant if you're familiar with the voice of God in terms of reading scripture and how he portrays himself and what he says to people. It's very direct normally and has an intent and purpose. Tends to usually be about delivering his people from complete annihilation of who's ever trying to kill them. It's like giving advice on here are the ways to live the rest of your life. Those are the kind of things he tends to share. He doesn't usually say, hey, that girl over there, I told her to tell you something. So go over and ask her what I said. I'm not going to tell you. She'll tell you. No. This all seems so blasphemous, it's even hard for me to say. So I just have to make fun of it because I don't want for a second to think that I'm buying any of this that he's saying. So Danny, who's smitten with Garrick, who sees her as a very good friend, according to his own words, goes on a mountaintop, comes down and says to Danny, God told me to ask you what he told you to tell me. And of course, Danny goes, I'm supposed to marry you. And he's like, okay. I mean, there was zero romance. That was his proposal. His proposal was, God told you to tell me something. What was it? And so she had to say, I'm supposed to marry you. And he said, okay. It's so sad. It's really sad. So now we get to the proposal. And at the beginning, there's just the part where it's like, thank you for being, in my life. And you mean so much to me, that. He read that word for word. It wasn't even bullet points. I'm over here. Are you proposing to me or your phone? He read the whole thing. And then he got down on one knee and he recited the Portuguese and asked her to marry him. She says yes. And I cried.
You did?
Not because I was so happy. I thought, this is not how I wanted it to go. Okay, they're still not married yet. Let's go back to Ashley and Shane. So this is right at the point that Shane had said, I don't think we're on the same page as what we want. And Sarah points out, well, you asked me what my relationships were like in the past, and that's what they were like, friends with benefits, couples that wanted me to join them. You didn't ask me, what do I see for my future going forward or with us? And I have to say, good point. She's right. Shane kind of points out they're looking for a commitment, and Sarah points out, well, my walls are up a little bit because, I just met you guys. I met her the other day, and I just met you a few minutes ago, so yeah, I'm not on the path to commitment here, but I think you're cool. Yeah, she's so right. Ashley intercepts. She smooths it all out between the two of them, and everybody's talking and getting along fine after that. We hear in the talking heads that Sarah's still interested, in being part of whatever this is going to look like between the three of them. And I'm thinking, well, I mean, I can see what they like about her. I can definitely see what Ashley sees in her. She's very playful. She's very fun. She's a pretty girl. She seems like she's a good time. But Shane is afraid that she's leading Ashley on. I'm not sure how she's leading her on, except that Ashley, I think, is looking for somebody to actually move into their home and be part of a relationship, a part-time relationship with her. And he's maybe suspecting that she's not there, that she just wants to hook up and get together. That could be, because I could see that too. And he points out that like time's a ticking and they need to move quickly because of the circumstances. Circumstances being Ashley's looks 9 months pregnant. I don't think they have a whole lot of time before that baby is going to be born. And then there's going to be a crazy household. They're not dating anybody after the baby's born, which actually kind of silly to even date them now because the upheaval that's going to happen. They need to wait a year. If only these couples would ask me for advice. I've got plenty of it. Okay, we're going to go back to Garrick and Dannielle to finish off this episode. In the talking head, we have Natalia's mom who said, "This is not what I would choose for myself. It's not the way I would do things, but I support my daughter if this is what she wants." I mean, good for you, Mom. You should. I appreciate that you support your daughter and that you're there, but I hope and pray that before they got there that you were working really hard to talk her out of this and that you just didn't go, "Oh, you want to get married to a guy who has another wife? Okay, if that's what you want." I hope that she was a voice of reason at first. If my daughter were in this situation, boy, we would have a million serious conversations. But when push came to shove and the wedding date was set, there's no way as a mom I wouldn't show up. Because I love her. I would show up for her in support of her, but not of what was happening and going down for certain. We have like an interview session right here where it's Garrick and Danny after the proposal's over. And Garrick's talking to Danny like she speaks Portuguese in this choppy English, or like she's a toddler and doesn't understand him. He says, "Sister? Wife? Yeah. Sweet Rose? Yeah. Uh-huh." I kid not. That's what he said. I'm putting a clip in here. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, Danny's not the Sweet Rose. So he already screwed up and got him mixed up. This was so bizarre. So bizarre. I think it was the most bizarre. I can't think of another word other than bizarre. I think bizarre just fits it best. The most bizarre segment of speech I've heard. Now, we've heard more blasphemous. We've heard more abhorrent. We've heard more unbelievable. We've heard more offensive. But in terms of him just being weird and bizarre, this is it. Let me show you.
Yeah? Sister, wife? Yeah.
Feels good.
Sweet Rose?
Feels surreal that we're already here again.
Uh-huh.
And then he just can't speak in the interview. But like he can't like communicate. I mean, he often can't. And Danny does have to talk for him often. But here again,
We're going to enjoy every moment together.
Continue getting to know each other and build our relationship and our bonds.
Yeah.
Make some memories.
So.
Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Danny asks Garrick what his plans are for the night, which is a weird conversation and an odd question for her to ask. And she seems all giddy. I don't know if she's doing that for the camera to make it appear that she's just great with all of this.
I'm not sad.
Because she got a lot of criticism last season for not being on board with Roberta and him going forward anyway, and her looking weak and too submissive.
What are your plans for tonight?
Plans?
Yeah, plans.
So I'm thinking this is her putting on an act that I am great with all of this. I'm happy. Yes, what are you gonna do tonight? Ugh.
Well, guess Ready to get some sleep.
Oh, yeah, sleep. Okay. Sleep?
I'm tired.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long day?
Long day, yeah.
It's so wrong. It's so wrong in so many ways.
Love you. Okay, baby. Good night.
Good night.
Ci amo.
See you on my Bye-bye, then.
Have fun sleeping.
Garrick describes what marriage is. Remember how he said, until there's a commitment of the future, which is the proposal. I can't have intimacy with somebody. There was never marriage before. It was this commitment. Not the commitment ceremony or anything, just the proposal. Well, he's changed that definition. It's different now. Now, the proposal is the marriage. Who knew?
When a woman becomes a wife is when you're intimate. We believe that's what God has for a person to become one flesh. It's the intimacy plus the, commitment in your heart and mind towards each other for life. That's what we believe marriage is.
Three of them talking in bed, but at the end of the night, just giving me the skivvies. I just wanted it to end really quickly. I was very uncomfortable watching it. And then I realized Natalia didn't get out. She's stuck. She has to sleep with him tonight. So my thoughts that this was all just a ruse and she was leading him on, maybe to get a trip out of it for her and her mom and some jewelry she can cash in. No, it is not. All of that is not worth what she has to go through this evening. Left me not happy at the end of this episode. And then it must be mid-season because they showed what's going to happen the rest of Sister Wives, and it actually looks kind of good. We have new potential sister wives, either in addition to what they currently have or substituting, but new sister wife relationships being investigated from the Salhudens, the Davis family, the Merrifields, and the Ryans. So everybody we have on this Sister Wife season is going to have a new potential sister wife coming up, with the exception of Shane and Ashley. In the preview for them, Shane is just saying, I'm seeing a bunch of red flags. So that's what we have to look forward to. And we don't know if the current relationships will continue on or if they're going to break up. They didn't show whether these people are still in the picture or not. It ought to be good. I think the second half of the season is going to be good. I mean, the first half of the season was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm appreciating it. And as always, by good, I mean terrible. Situations are horrible. Entertainment-wise, good. That's all I have for this week. It was pretty good again. Looking forward to the next episode. I'll be here with another review. You take care. If you've made it all the way to the end, you should be subscribed to my channel. Subscribe so you find out when more videos are coming out. And hit a like and leave me a comment. And that's just to say you enjoy me, you enjoy this episode, or you enjoy this channel, but it's a way to help me push the channel forward. And if you do any one of the three of those things, I thank you. Have a great evening. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.